In 2008, the Pentagon bought 20 cargo planes for the Afghan Air Force. The bill, $549 million. Within a few years, they were grounded. The spare parts never arrived. The maintenance problems never stopped. In 2013, the program was cancelled. 16 aircraft were cut up where they stood on the tarmac at Kabul airport and sold to a local construction firm as scrap, 6 cents a pound. $500 million of aircraft came back as $32,000 of aluminium, and nobody was held accountable. You're watching BBTV Intelligence Briefing. Today's question: America spent more rebuilding Afghanistan than it spent rebuilding Europe after the Second World War. So where did $145 billion actually go? We can answer that now, precisely because the accounting is finished. For 17 years, there was an office in Washington whose entire job was following American Reconstruction money into Afghanistan. It audited, it investigated, it published, and it made itself extremely unpopular. In December 2025, it issued its final report and closed. Here is the headline number: about $145 billion appropriated to rebuild the country. Adjusted for inflation, that is more than the Marshall Plan. Roughly $90 billion of it went to building the Afghan army and police. And here is the finding. Across 19 years, the watchdog documented 1,327 separate instances of waste, fraud, or abuse, somewhere between $26 and $29 billion. Read that carefully, because the word matters. Most of it was not stolen. Most of it was categorized as waste, money that was spent exactly as intended, on things that did not work, were never used, or could not be maintained once the Americans left. 29 billion is the part they could document. The reason it is not larger is not that the rest was clean. It is that vast amounts of it simply cannot be traced. It did not start as a $145 billion project. It started as almost nothing. The initial goal in 2001 was narrow: remove a government, deny a safe haven, leave. Reconstruction was an afterthought. The first year's spending was a rounding error in the defense budget. Then the mission grew. A country with no functioning state needed a state. That meant an army, a police force, ministries, roads, clinics, schools, a currency, an electricity grid. Each of those needs was real. Each came with a budget line, and each budget line grew. By the surge years, the United States was pushing more money into Afghanistan annually than Afghanistan's entire economy produced. That sentence is the whole problem in one line. There is a term for it in development work: absorptive capacity, how much money a country can actually use before the money itself becomes the problem. Afghanistan's was a fraction of what arrived. Too much money moving too fast, through a state too new to track it, with a deadline attached, because the troops were always leaving eventually. Everyone involved knew the clock was running, so the spending accelerated to beat it. Here's the part that gets missed. This isn't a story about theft. It's a story about spending money faster than a country could absorb it, and calling that progress. So why did it keep going? Because of what was being measured. If your job is reconstruction and your performance is judged annually, the number that proves you are working is the number of dollars disbursed, not clinics still open in 5 years, not roads still maintained, dollars out the door. An unspent budget looks like failure and gets cut the following year. A fully spent budget looks like momentum. That single incentive explains most of what the watchdog found. Projects were sized to budgets rather than to needs. Facilities were built without asking who would staff them, power them, or repair them. Programs were declared successes at the ribbon cutting, which is the moment before anything can be judged. Underneath sat a second problem. The money moved through partners the mission had chosen for short-term convenience. Local power brokers who could deliver security or influence quickly, and who were, in many cases, precisely the people whose corruption was driving Afghans toward the insurgency. American money strengthened them. Their behavior weakened the government that money was meant to build. And the whole system was hard to see into. Security limited who could visit a site. Auditors often could not reach the projects they were auditing. Contractors subcontracted to subcontractors. By the time money reached the ground, the paper trail was frequently gone. Every incentive in that system rewarded speed. Almost none of them rewarded whether the thing still worked a year later. Soldiers who did not exist. Afghan units were paid by headcount, and the headcount was a list. Officials added names to the list. Men who had deserted, men who had died, men who had never enlisted, and collected the salaries. The watchdog estimated around $300 million a year lost this way. When a biometric payroll system was finally introduced, roughly 42,000 personnel disappeared from the rolls in a single year. Not casualties, deletions. It also meant nobody could say with confidence how large the Afghan army actually was, including the people planning its defense. The station that could not be explained. A compressed natural gas filling station in the north was built under a contract worth just under $3 million. The figure eventually attached to it in public was $43 million. The Defense Department disputed how that total was assembled, and this is the important part. It could not produce documentation showing where the money went. The scandal is not the headline number. The scandal is that the department could not explain its own spending, and the watchdog said so plainly. The buildings nobody used. Command centers finished after the units they were built for had left. Clinics with no staff. A pattern the audits returned to again and again. American standard facilities handed to a government that could not afford to run them. Sustainability was rarely anyone's job. And the quiet fact underneath all of it. $90 billion went into the Afghan security forces over 2 decades. In the summer of 2021, they collapsed in a matter of weeks. The equipment was real. The training was real. What was missing was the thing money is worst at buying, a reason to fight for the government that money had built. $90 billion of army gone in weeks. That's not a procurement failure. That's a question about what money can and can't buy. So what does the receipt actually teach? The watchdog's own conclusion was blunt. The mission promised stability and democracy, and delivered neither. Not because Americans did not try, and not mainly because people stole, but because the goals were never matched to what the money could realistically do, and nobody's job depended on saying so. That matters now because the same machinery is running again. Large reconstruction and security assistance packages are moving to Ukraine, and money will follow any Gaza settlement. Same structure: urgent politics, enormous sums, weak local institutions, and oversight arriving after the spending. Watch 3 things: whether oversight is funded before the money moves, not after; whether success is measured in outcomes that survive a handover or in dollars dispersed; and whether anyone is ever actually held accountable, because in 20 years of Afghan reconstruction, the watchdog's own summary of the $500 million aircraft was that no one was. The reports are public. Every number in this video came from documents anyone can download. The information was never the missing piece. Acting on it, what? $145 billion, 20 years, and a final report almost nobody will read. The receipts were always public. That's the part that should bother you. This has been BBTV Intelligence Briefing. Stay sharp